Well, I decided to go on another little hiking side adventure. I have not quite escaped Canada, although I'm getting so close. So I made it through Haines Junction. You get these amazing views of the Kluane Park. I don't know if it's national, provincial, what the ranking is, but this protected area that has this amazing glaciers and huge mountain range, all this really spectacular looking stuff. Off the left side of the road, as I was driving, came across Kluane Lake, which is also stunning, and I was aiming for the visitor center information thing, ranger station there at Kluane Lake, but I missed their closing time by like 10 minutes. So I was trying to get some information about some of the trails that go back and mountains you can hike, overnights, that kind of stuff, and there is permitting required to go back into the park. So I kind of got stuck camping at a beautiful spot on the lake. Boo-hoo. And then this morning, came in and talked to the rangers. And there's a pretty decent either overnight or two overnight kind of hike where you're going up this wash, or really valley, created by the encroaching glacier that has now retreated back up the valley. So about a day hiking up the valley, another day hiking the top of a nearby mountain. You can get this evidently spectacular view of the whole mountain range and this retreating glacier. So that's the plan. I decided I would take 2 nights, per the rangers' warnings, about some pretty significant river crossings, stream crossings, whatever. But doing them late in the day, they're very high water because of the snow melt. So I'm gonna do 2 overnights. Against my better judgment, maybe I've learned nothing from trusting the rangers on my last hike, but gotta play it safe, hiking alone. So that's the plan. 2 nights out here, 2.5 days or so, hopefully some beautiful glacier viewing, and it really is already pretty amazing. But I'm hoping to get back a little further in the park. It's really super inaccessible. Most people fly back, but I'll do what I can on foot.
War was going to be a romantic, heroic adventure. I'm not going to...
I'm at the first crossing, heading in. This is Kluane Creek, and it really does not look like much, at least at this hour on this overcast day. It's all dependent on snow melt though, so sunny day at the end of the day, this could be much worse evidently. So, lucky to begin with. I got 2 little pieces of it to cross, but looks super easy. Can't complain about that. And this other bed is totally dry. Alright, well, 1 crossing down. Well, that one was a little more serious. So this is actually Kluane Creek. That first one was Sheep Creek. And this one was a little more to contend with, a little more forceful. Just above the knees where I chose to cross, but definitely pushing back. I bumped into a couple of hikers on their way returning, and they just finished their crossing. So I swerved up to where they were crossing, assuming they'd scouted a good spot. And I'm headed back downriver, get back on trail. I kind of assumed trail was down here, but seeing other people, I got pulled upstream a bit. But not dangerous, just a little more serious. than the last one. And I can imagine as it gets bigger, it gets a little worse. The power of moving water, I've learned from my rafting and kayaking and canoeing stuff, and it's not to be underestimated. All right, one more small channel to cross, and then should be close to back on trail. So I'm starting to get a little bit of a rub injury on my heel. I'm just wearing Chacos on this trip because of all the stream crossings, but I've got a bug bite right where my Chaco strap crosses on my heel, and that mixed with the water in and out and the gravel from these riverbeds is starting to kind of rub me raw. So I'm going to use a magical substance called Leukotape that is super sticky when it comes to staying in place. Instead, keep on for days and days of hiking in my experience. But when you peel it off, it doesn't take all your skin with it, even if it's on like an open blister or a blister. The stuff's just, it's amazing. I got turned on to it from my brother, who's an ultralight backpacker and has done, if not the same amount more than I have on backpacking. So this stuff is amazing. If you haven't already used it, it is used kind of like moleskin would be, but anything that's going to be caused by abrasion, this is super abrasion resistant and it stays in place. So I swear by it. I try and tell everybody about it. It's a super, super useful product. Leukotape. Often I can't find it in small amounts. Got to find it in a big roll, and then I'll have to wrap it around something else when I take it on a trip, throwing it in a first aid kit, but it's super awesome stuff. We'll see if it does the job on my little abrasion injury here. Well, after crossing Bouillon Creek, the trail has become much more trail-like. But to begin with, I was kind of following an old, I would have called it an old Jeep road, but it's probably done more by a four-wheeler out here. But now it's, you know, single-track trail. Still pretty tame as far as elevation goes. So, from what I can tell, this is the path the glacier came in on and then is now retreated back down. And I think it's hiding just around this corner as the trail is going to kind of follow this side of things, and I'll be able to hike up to a mountain called Observation Mountain. But I think that the glacier has retreated down this entire area here to the point that we can't quite see it from here, but hopefully as I hike further on, I think I've got 8 or 9 miles more to go, I should be able to get views of it from the ground and then also be able to hike up and get some elevation on it. But I think I'm hiking up now where the glacier has retreated. The trail has taken another change in character as it's come out of the more forested area, or the rocky kind of open valley stuff too. And now just kind of walking the river flats, as the map was calling them. And it looks like it's really just big silt deposits left behind in the retreat of the glacier. And the river that used to flow through here was much larger, but evidently as the silt upstream deposited on what would be downstream river left, it basically cut this channel off from the bulk of the flow of water, and now it goes through a different valley. So I'm kind of walking an old riverbed. Pretty sizable one. Just landscapes here are indescribable. trail has gotten a little soggy. Crossing some kind of marshy wetlands. You can only imagine the bugs on this little stretch. I'm thinking on my return trip, I'm probably going to stick to the river flats as much as I can, which might be the whole way. I've kind of split the difference between the mountain wall and the river flats for this little marshy section, which is very clearly where the trail is. Although I don't know if I agree. That's the best place to put it. So we'll see. I might do something different on the return trip. But I am glad I'm in Chacos as I slog through this junk. Well, the trails seem to be making some silly decisions, going through some kind of meandering ways through terrain that it really didn't need to go through. Not that it was too bad, it was just a little harder to keep track of trail. So I'm back on the river flats, and I have been for a little while, and they're really kind of soft, nice, silty, kind of sandy now, very small rocks, but it goes from kind of muddy to silty to sandy. And because the sand was really only exacerbating the rub on my Chaco straps, I've been barefoot for, I don't know, a mile or so. It feels pretty awesome. I don't know that I've ever hiked barefoot for a significant portion of time, but I'm really enjoying it right now. Just kicking it casual across almost Alaska. But Yukon territory still sounds cool too, right? So, barefoot, cruising through the Yukon. Just beautiful surroundings, 360 degrees. Couldn't ask for better. The path on the river flats petered out, and I get pinched between the bank with this pine forest and uncrossably deep river. So I got forced into the trees, doing a little more ups and downs, climbing around, and in order to make sure these straps of my Chacos don't rub me too badly in too many places, more so than I have any Leuco tape to patch, I've gone full grandpa mode. Yep. Those are socks with my sandals. Bring on this trail. It is morning of day 2. I'm working on some breakfast, a little far away from my camp. But my feet are bugging me despite the grandpa mode socks and sandals. The two spots kind of on the insides of my heels have already kind of been established. So pressure on those, even with the socks on, is a little annoying this morning. So I'm going to see what I can do as far as taping them and see how that feels walking around camp. But I've got to make the call whether I'm going to go up Observation Mountain, which is that guy? Yeah, that guy. Go up there, or do I go ahead and make the walk back through the awesome tidal flat, river flat area, just to save my feet some pain? Gonna eat breakfast and think about it. So after going maybe 2, maybe 3 miles towards Observation Mountain, I got to the base of it, but it was pretty hard going because I've decided to do it barefoot because I can do kind of a riverbed approach but intermittently it becomes quite rocky, which slows the going quite a bit. With the sandals on, even with socks, just putting pressure right in all the wrong spots. And ultimately I decided to turn back, mainly because on Observation Mountain I kept losing track of the trail, which necessitated a bunch of bushwhacking, which really wouldn't have been bad if I could just have the chacos on, protecting the bottoms of my feet. But it's just not something I'm gonna do 10 more miles of barefoot, especially knowing that every mile I go up the mountain, it's another mile I gotta come back down before returning to my vehicle. It's kind of different than I'm used to. So I've been walking the river flats basically the whole day since I decided to make my return earlier than planned. And I've been trying to keep an eye out for where the main channel of the river is going, so as not to get cut off from the bank that I need to be on by the end of the day. And it looks like that's starting to happen. So, I'm trying to make the crossover from the center of the flats more to the left side of the flats. And right now the water it's wide. All these little channels have been coming together into one bigger one, but it's still shallow. So I think if I can get over to the left bank and still have some flats to walk on, that'll be ideal. Well, I've made it back to Kluane Creek, and it is a little bit bigger as I got a good bit sunnier day today, and it's maybe an hour later than I crossed it last time. Gonna do a little scouting to see if I can find a good spot, safest spot I can to cross it. Because some of this stuff doesn't look like fun to be in.